You gonna come join me? Hi. I'm trying my hardest to do a Q&A, and this little guy is on the struggle bus. So Mr's sitting down here, and he has a little collapsed trachea, and he has not been doing very well the last few days. He takes medicine and everything for this, but he is 14 years old, but he's just been coughing, and he wants to be right next to me, so I don't have the heart to put him out of the room. Hopefully, if we just sit here for a few minutes and are calm, he'll calm down and go to sleep. It's my hope. So today we're going to do a Q&A, and I hope to have Jason answer some of the ones that are really specifically for him. There's quite a few in here for me to answer. I thought I would try and answer as many as possible. We might have to do a part 2 because there's quite a bit of questions. I did put this over on the community tab for Living with Dementia, so this channel obviously. But if you were wondering where did I get these questions from, you can see them all over there. I'm going to start with the elephant in the room and get this one out of the way, and not to be, I felt this was a very rude question. And normally I don't even answer these types of questions, but I'm just going to go ahead and answer this one because I guess maybe some education on how things work would maybe be helpful. And then we'll go on from there. So this question was asked by Suzanne296. She says, how do you afford your lifestyle? I know YouTube brings good money and Jason has Social Security disability, but honestly, most folks I know can't afford to redecorate the house and etc. Okay, so I'm going to divide this into 2 parts for the answer. And meaning, yes, Jason gets Social Security disability. I'm not going to sit here and list off all his means of income, but you guys know Jason is a retired military veteran, so he spent 30 years, so he has retirement. He is a 100% disabled veteran, so he earns that type of money. I also want to remind you that Jason was a very successful businessman and was fantastic at saving for retirement, so he had that. And so that aside, let's talk about most people can't afford to redecorate. So I'm assuming you're talking about my channel, A Charming Abode, because you said you think YouTube pays good money. Which YouTube can pay really good money if you get, hundreds of thousands of views. So I'm very blessed that I get to stay home and make videos each week to take care of Jason and give me a little bit of an escape to do something that I love. But you need to understand that A Charming Abode is a small business. So just like any business, you have to spend money to make money. Most small businesses have an inventory, they purchase it, and then they resell it. That is the exact same thing I'm doing on YouTube. Now, do I normally redecorate quite as much as I do for a channel? No way. It's kind of exhausting. But I have a budget, and I purchase items in order to make a video. Everything is always a little bit of a gamble, just like in business. I set aside so much to spend on videos. Some videos I make, I spend nothing. And some videos I spend more, or something I've been saving for a long time. So it's that type of thing. And then you make the video, and then hopefully you make enough money, enough profit off that video that it was worth your while. So I don't know what you think about what our lifestyle is. We've lived in the same home for 22 years. We bought it super inexpensive back in the early 2000s, and we don't have debt. So we make enough. We certainly don't have anything extravagant happening. We have everyday things that need to happen to the house to maintain it. After living here for 22 years, I had the floors redone and I needed to purchase windows. But if you follow me on A Charming Abode, you know I could only afford to do the front half, and I had to spend the money that I was saving for the bathroom to do it. So I feel like we have a very normal lifestyle. Oh no, he's going to start coughing again. I feel like we have a very normal lifestyle for people who have a budget and stay within their means. Yeah, so there you go. That's how I can afford my lifestyle. Okay. Oh, I do have to say one more thing, because this is all I'm going to end up talking about this, because this is it's kind of personal and really rude. I don't know. I was just taught growing up, we don't really ask people about their finances. It's none of my business. So anyway, someone said, I make videos of Jason over here on Living with Dementia to exploit him for money. That just shows that you don't know, once again, how YouTube works, because we don't make videos over here hardly at all. And so this channel makes really hardly any money. Few little bits here and there. I think the last video I made before that, it had been 3 or 4 months since I had even made a video. So I don't know how I'm explaining Jason for money. But anyway, and you guys all know Jason loves to educate you and show you a different side to dementia. And I'm really sorry about this coughing in the background. So this question was asked a lot by a lot of you in a different way. So I'm going to just, because I think it's so sweet that you guys are so concerned about me getting time to myself. Like this person says, "You are so strong. Do you have support, Leslie, so you can get time to yourself to care for yourself?" So this question was asked a lot concerning me. So yes, I do. Do I get out of the house like, I don't want to say quote unquote a normal person? No, not at all. Nothing like I did before. So I'm very blessed that I work from home. So, I spend my days at home working. But I do get to, get out every month. I go and I do something special for myself, like get a facial, get my eyebrows done. Every couple months I get my hair done. And then every week I get out of the house to go grocery shopping and, run errands and that type of thing. So we have close friends that watch Jason and that type of thing. And so that is what I'm able to do. Support-wise, I have a wonderful support group. I have all kinds of people around me. I am also a paid caregiver for Jason through the VA. So it is my job to stay here and take care of him. But I have support through the VA also. I have respite care that's available to me. So I am really well set up for all those types of things, which I'll get to it in a minute because I know there's another question in here that kind of pertains to this, and I wanted to tell you guys about it. Let me get to that question here in a second. Here we go. 1115 asked, "What are a couple things you did at the beginning of this journey you were glad you implemented, and what are a couple things you wish you had not started?" And then they go on to say very sweet things about how we touch their heart and God bless us. So thank you so much for that. One of the things that we implemented at the beginning is we set up where I have power of attorney for Jason on all matters, not just health, but, financially. We made a trust. So all of those things were in place. I feel like, while he's in a good frame of mind and able to participate, those were the smart things that needed to be done. So those are things that we implemented that I think everyone needs to implement no matter your situation. Well, maybe you don't need power of attorney over somebody else, but you know what I mean. And then something that we started that I wish we wouldn't, and we have stopped. When Jason first started getting into his financial woes, as I call it, where he was no longer, where he was struggling to take care of finances and spending a lot of money and that type of thing, I thought I was going to be super smart and, give him a budget, and then he could have this amount of budget to spend each month. But I didn't realize, and please keep in mind, every dementia patient is different. So what I'm saying for Jason might not have applied to your loved one or other situations. So always remember that. So I gave Jason a budget to spend each month, and that actually turned into a nightmare because then because he becomes fixated on things, he became fixated on, I have this money to spend and I have to spend it. And then he couldn't keep track of how much that he was spending and what, and it was too much for his brain and too much for him to handle. And I had to take that away, and we had to refigure that out. And so that was something that I wish we would have never started, because that was actually made things worse. So keep that in mind when people are like, "Oh, give him a budget, give him his own little, card to spend." For Jason, that actually was the opposite of what needed to happen. So this question was by Darlene Thompson 9325. She said, "Will your daughters come on with you and talk about how they feel about what's going on with their dad. Hugs to you all. A few years ago, I did put on a friends and family one for how, and both my daughters were on there, and they talked about where we were at that stage. We might do a new updated one because Jason has obviously progressed a lot more since then. My youngest daughter, or our youngest daughter, lives up in Washington State, and so she only talks to her dad through FaceTime, and so she's not here to see the day-to-day things. Our oldest daughter does live not too far away from us, and she is more in it, and so she would probably maybe have a little more to say. So stay tuned. Maybe we'll do something like that. Leah Jeffries 1215 says, do you have any trips in the planning? No. It breaks my heart. It's a daily, not even a daily, it's a weekly struggle. I try to take Jason somewhere each week to get him out of the house, and he's not really enjoying going out now. In his mind, he thinks he wants to go out, and what I mean by that, he wants to go on a trip. Logic. He doesn't have his logic anymore. He thinks, well, I don't want to go, out to eat or shopping, but I would love to go to Ireland. That'll be fine. I don't know why he thinks that would be fine and that is awful, other than he thinks that would be more fun. I don't know. But that's not the struggle. The struggle is the environment around him, and he gets so overwhelmed now that then he just turns into a bear and makes it really difficult to keep the situation contained, and you don't know how he's going to react or respond. And my biggest goal is to keep him safe, other people safe, myself safe. And so I don't have any trips planned other than this summer. We will go up to Washington and visit our daughter and grandkids. And I feel good about it. It's a hop on, hop off kind of flight. We'll be with them, and usually he does fantastic around the grandkids because he just loves them and it brings him joy. So he kind of showtimes and turns into grandpa, and it helps a lot. So I do have one trip planned. Marianne May 4760 says, do your dogs show extra care to Jason and stay close to protect him? I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but no, they're right here. I think they stay close to me. Jason's very content living in his own world. I'll be honest, if anyone's the lonely one here, it would be me. I was very much a people person, out shopping with my sisters or friends and going to work and doing everything. And then now I'm just kind of here in my house, and, and it's, it's so funny. So my neighbor Sharon next door, she's such a sweetheart. I'll go over there usually multiple times during the week in the afternoon and just sit out there and visit with her. And I probably just, because, when you don't have someone to talk to very often, you just kind of dump it. So no, the dogs keep me company the most. Oh boy. Is it the RESEM 5850? How did you navigate finding a good neurologist? We just moved to a new city and I am nervous. My husband has been diagnosed with an MCI, and we do have a primary doctor and a referral. I have not followed through with making an appointment yet. We were blessed. We're so blessed where we live in this area. So we live in Kansas, out in the boonies, but outside of Kansas City, and KU, which is one of the top research hospitals, has the most fantastic memory care clinic. And we got referred there through the VA because the VA and KU partner together. And so my biggest thing for you is when you get a referral and you go to the neurologist that your doctor's sending you to, read online. Find one that specializes in what you're doing, not one who's stroke and those different areas, because they're not going to understand what kind of dementia they're dealing with. So, and if you don't like that neurologist, you don't have to stay with that one. I highly suggest finding a different one. So that one's hard because we're all in different areas and we're not all blessed with the same healthcare close to us. Oh, guys, I was waiting for this question. We're going to talk about this. I hope you're listening. Please. Oh, wait, who's the spy? Laura Dempsey 2454. please, all caps, check out the carnivore diet. It's great for mental health and overall health. Okay. We're going to talk about all these things that you guys send me. It drives me nuts. Jason should do a keto diet. He should do a carnivore diet. He should take mushrooms. Please stop with the diet. There are a lot of things that you don't know because obviously you don't have a loved one who has this disease. Yes, eating healthy, not having a lot of sugars and all that is great for all of us. You come to a certain point in your disease process when you are terminally ill that no amount of good food is going to save your life. And people who say that never lived it. I have this big, huge online community that I'm a part of spouses who take care of their husbands. And there are over 1,000 of us, and we're all young onset. So under 65. And there is not one single one that eating healthy cured their dementia, no matter what kind they had. Alzheimer's, Lewy body, frontal lobe, all of them. When you say this stuff, you sound so like you heard something on the internet, so it must be true. And you get these, it's like, oh, watch this doctor. They say this, they say that. But I'm sorry. You also get to a point where when you're terminally ill, the last thing you're going to think about is like, oh, I really need to eat healthier. No, you got a little bit of time of your life left. If you want some ice cream, you eat some ice cream. That's kind of how life goes. So another factor I need you to recognize when all these carnivore diet things, Jason has high cholesterol. A carnivore diet is not recommended for him because of heart health. And on top of that, he cannot take cholesterol medicine because it is bad for those with dementia. It does not, I shouldn't say bad, it does not do well in helping with memory loss for them. Read up on it. I'm not going to go in and give you a whole education on that, but so you're trying to have me, do this to make this better, but yet carnivore diet is actually going to not be great for his heart, and then he's just going to kill over and die of a heart attack. So just think about these things. And, if you want to come on and you want to tell me, hey, my loved one that I personally take care of has this type of dementia, and we do this diet, and he's completely cured and improved, you let me know that, and I will have those one-on-one discussions with you. But if you just heard it on the internet, oh my goodness, quit giving that advice. It's such bad advice. Barbara White, 3217. I'm probably going to have Jason answer this, but he might answer it differently than me because I don't know if he'll quote unquote remember. But when Jason is feeling okay, what does he like to do? He likes to cause trouble. He likes to cause chaos. When his mind is working and he starts to feel inspired, he starts thinking of these projects that he thinks that he wants to do or thinks that he can do. And then it's just always like, I'm not saying I want him to sit in a chair and not do anything. I love for him to use his brain. But something we're learning with him is he really struggles to be able to follow through with anything or make it come out correctly. So if he's feeling inspired and feeling like doing a project, then we meaning me, just stick with him, help him through it, help him think it through, and then hopefully he feels good and proud of himself with the outcome. I haven't read this one. Debbie Lynch, 6564. I am curious if Jason sleeps with you and how you are able to go to sleep feeling secure that he won't get up and leave the house or do something in the night that he's not supposed to do. I just think about how I would handle this. How do you sleep well at night? Thank you for sharing your journey. It is helpful to see how you guys navigate this. Okay, so Jason has long-term memory. So I think you're probably thinking of a lot of people who have Alzheimer's who lose their long-term memory, and they have, I feel like, a little bit more confusion. Jason is short-term memory right now. Let's keep it that way. So yes, we do still sleep together right here in this bed. And I feel like I will forever and always have mommy ears. He sleeps next to me. There are many nights that Jason doesn't sleep well, and he's up and he's down and he's up and he's down. I do have cameras. But at this point, Jason's not wandering outside in the middle of the night. It's just not, he has his long-term memory and he knows that you don't do that. So he's not really, you know what I mean? That's not really his thing. He's too cozy. So fingers crossed it stays that way. Oh, this is a great question. SJ2451. Do you have contingency plans for if you were ever unwell or unable to meet his needs for a time? Not meaning to be pessimistic, but have a family friend going through something similar and useful to know how people navigate this. Thank you. Yes, I do. I do have a plan. You never know. Like, what if all of a sudden I have appendicitis or I get in a car wreck when I ran to the grocery store? You never know what life's going to throw at you. So yes, I do have a contingency plan. We have everything in place to where, so Jason's mom lives about 4.5 hours away from here. She will be coming here to stay with Jason should I ever am hospitalized. In the short term, in the meantime, my daughter lives close, so she would be with her dad until her grandma got here. And so we have a total plan. I also have in place a plan with the VA that should I need extended time, that there are facilities, a memory care facility that Jason could go into, that's just for like a short little period of time, and we have that all worked out also. So hopefully, by the grace of God, that's not something that we have to deal with. Well, which just leads right into this next question. This is Howen, HOWNWEN. Hi, guys. Do you like how I said that? Hi, guys. At what point will Jason need to be in a facility, if at all? With a difficult diagnosis, I bet it's hard to plan the future. So, I was really hoping, which I knew it would, because on the last video, y'all were quick to be wanting to throw Jason in some memory care clinic. Like, what? Okay, let me remind you, I am a registered nurse. I'm also Jason's paid caregiver through the VA. Why would two different things that kept coming up and coming up and coming up. Hiring someone to take care of Jason or putting him in a facility. Jason is so happy right here in his home. He's got his little sunroom he's in all the time where he can be close but in his own space. I'm well equipped. I worked at a memory care facility when I was younger as a registered nurse. So why would I pay someone else to take care of him or pay to put him in a facility when I have the means and the skills to take care of him, and he's happy here and he's the love of my life? I understand that a lot of you can't handle stress and it's too much. And yeah, there's sometimes this is super stressful. It drives me crazy. But that's the love of my life. That's my best friend. I'm not tossing him in a memory care facility right now. I say right now. Do I know that might be on the back burner? Yes. If Jason gets to where, like, physically, he can't walk or something, those kinds of things will come into play. And I have that all set up through the VA and have a list, and I will put him in something like that. But, I pray and ask the Lord all the time to give me the strength, the ability, the means to continue to take care of him because I want to. And so, but just know that if I need to put him in a place in the future, I will. Okay, some of these questions I'm definitely reading that are for Jason, and I'll let him answer. What do you think this is Chrissy B3350. What do the doctors think about what the future holds for Jason? Do you see a constant decline, or has his medication kept everything at bay for now? I know this is kind of a personal question, but it's something I've been curious about, and I thought I would go ahead and ask. All right. Yes, we have a constant decline. There's no medication that's holding him in place. There's actually he still takes Aricept, but it's probably a moot point at this. I just haven't taken him off of it. We did stop the Dementia a while back because that really wasn't making a difference with his memory. Now it's all about mood medication because of his behavioral variant, and keeping him calm, keeping him happy, and that type of thing. Jason's prognosis is still a terminal illness because your brain's like, so that's what we see for the future. Tiff Sweet Spot says, how does Jason do when he is around the grandkids? For the most part, he does great. They bring him so much joy and they make him so happy. Oh yeah, definitely answered this before. This too shall pass asked, you may have answered this in other videos, but what were the symptoms at onset and how did they make a final diagnosis? Jason's first thing we noticed was that he just kept repeating questions to us all the time. And it was like, does he realize he just asked that? And so it was that kind of thing. And then he was on a project in Washington, D.C., and our first really big red flag was he called me and he was lost. And that was something that was really shocking because Jason, he'd been on this project forever. He knew the area like the back of his hand, and he's like, I'm on a train and I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm at. And he just felt so disorientated. And that was our first really big red flag. Okay, we kind of already talked about this, but there's something in this question that I want to address. I know it must be very frustrating not to have a definitive diagnosis. We do and we don't. Obviously his diagnosis is major neurological disorder, early onset dementia. And early onset means young onset dementia, because he's only 50. But it says, does he take supplements and eat or avoid certain foods to improve brain function? Not anymore. Also, are his serum labs normal? Yes. Every single thing was checked constantly. You name that test and we did it. I love this question. Tina Dowden 6866 says, how do you find a dementia group for caregivers? Okay. For those of you out there, a couple different ways. One, Facebook has fantastic ones where they're private and you are talking with other people who are going through the same thing. So those who have younger onset, those who are older, those who are just females, so there's so many different ones. So search on Facebook. And then and then I have the one through the VA. And then on top of that, wherever your spouse goes to the neurologist for their dementia, there should be a social worker there, and that social worker will have all kinds of information for you for those types of things. So definitely contact them. They are a wealth of information. Kathy2142 says, we have dementia in our family. Do you need brain scans yearly to see changes? Does Jason get violent with others or himself? Does Jason still drive a car alone? What are the long-term goals? Assisted living facility, and how do I cope? Okay. Jason sure as heck doesn't drive a car. No, that got taken away. He can't drive anymore. Does Jason get violent with others? I think Jason could get violent with others if we didn't keep him in check with medication. That's why when someone has dementia and they have this issue with their behavior, you are doing nothing probably for the rest of his life other than chasing that mood and staying ahead of it. You got to stay ahead of it. The moment you start noticing changes, just know it's probably not just a bad day. We're probably starting to go back downhill, and we need more and more and more. And unfortunately, that's just what it is. So, I think that's why he just prefers to stay at home and not be in society too much anymore. Long-term goals, like I said, my goal is to keep him here until if he's, too hard to handle or too much physically, because he's kind of like a bull and I'm not exactly a big person, then I will put him in a memory care facility. Lots of questions about Jason in an outside facility. Do I have any help from other paid or volunteer caregivers? We've already talked about that. Yes, this is really hard. So Jean Philpott 350, her husband has vascular dementia with frontal temporal. He also has speech issues from a stroke. She's trying to deal with not being a nag about things I see and choosing my battles. He will shout at me and just leave the room when he's upset. I am at a loss about dealing with some behavioral issues. Whew, I'm going to tell you right now. They act like a toddler. They throw fits. They get angry. And most of the time, Jason gets angry over something that doesn't even make any sense to me. And it can be very hurtful. But you will grow this really thick skin because you know it's not them and you know they can't help it. They're not just being a butthead to be a butthead, because I know he wouldn't want to be one if he could help it, because that's just not his personality. He's usually a really nice guy. And am I the brunt of all the anger and the negativity? Absolutely. I don't care if he's mad at someone else. It's coming out at me because I am available. I am here and he's comfortable with me. So I get, so my biggest thing for you is don't challenge him with anything. He's never going to see reasoning. You drop it. You let it go. You walk away and you remove yourself from the situation. And then when you re-engage, you use divergent tactics to where we just go on to something else. And half the time he doesn't even remember anyway what he was just being angry about. But quick little example. We went down to our local little Chinese restaurant down here, me and Jason, Kelsey, Anthony, and the boys. And Jason ordered, we were going around the table and, we've been eating at this place our whole lives. And Jason ordered his food and I even thought, wonder why he ordered that. Must be in the mood for it. He never orders that. But I should have known better. What he thought he was ordering is not even what he said out loud. He just gets it messed up in his head. So when they brought him the food, they handed it to him and he was like, did I order this? And Kelsey is like, yeah, Dad, you ordered that. And he was like, oh, this isn't what I meant to order. So I start to say, oh, tell me what you were going to order. And the reason I was going to say that is so I will know what he thought he had in his head. So if we ever go to eat again, I'll make sure that he's getting what he wants. And when I go to say, oh, what did you think you were going to order? He says to me, don't talk to me. Nobody's talking to you. And he's just real. And it was like, okay, you're trying to be helpful. You just don't try and explain yourself. Don't be like, oh, I just wanted to know because I wanted to help you next time. He don't care. At that point, he does not care. Do not even try. So just drop the subject. So that's kind of what you have to do. And it's really hard because if you're like me, I've been married to Jason for almost 34 years and that's my spouse. And if we ever disagreed about something in the past, which we were never big fighters or anything, but if you ever disagreed or there's something, you would be like, hey, blah, 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 blah. But now you just learn to keep your mouth shut and that's what you have to do. Oh, this is so true. So Linda Gibson 9699. Do you and Jason have a favorite song or songs from your teenage dating years? Music is a powerful brain stimulation and I hope it helps both you and him time travel to happier times. Jason is a huge music guy. He listens to the same music right now over and over and over and it brings him joy. And so I think that yes, you see all those things about people who have dementia and music and it doing something for them. It is good for them. So yes, music is huge. Has Jason's appetite changed? Does he still enjoy the same foods that he did before dementia? It is very much so changed. So a lot of times as you progress with dementia, your brain craves sugars because it's dying. And Jason craves sugars. Never been a sugar guy before. And just, and now, he wants something sweet. He wants some ice cream. And like I addressed before, we're to the point where your body's craving sugars. We're going to give you some sugars. And yeah, so he definitely has different food tastes than he did before. Trip Lixity. How could family or friends help support you in your caregiver role more, either physically or emotionally? I think everybody does a pretty good job. Being available if I need someone to watch Jason so I can get out of here for a while, or, being available if I need to talk. I don't usually try to spill too much to everyone of the day-to-day beating up that you kind of get when you're taking care of someone with his form of dementia. But, just being there if I need to just chat with me about something fun. Don't always call and be like, how's Jason? Or how are you? I don't always want to talk about how I'm doing. I want to talk about something fun. So yeah, this question makes me a little sad. Melissa8475. What's next in terms of your journey? Is there a next phase? Like, will he get worse? Is there any treatment or positive outlooks? No. Yes, he will get worse. There's really no more treatment. And I don't have a lot of positive outlooks at this point. I don't know what I could do differently to make it any better. My goals now, I'm in survival mode, keeping Jason safe and those around him. So all glory to God 333 says, how do you keep yourself physically safe and feeling safe at times when you may not be? And how do you keep yourself physically at peace? Thank you for sharing your story. And she's been following a charming abode. Aw. First of all, thank you so much for following a charming abode. That is the bread and butter. That is my lifeline. I keep myself physically safe, kind of like I talked about before. I remove myself from the situation. I can tell when he's getting worked up. I do not engage in that behavior. He's never just going to fly off the handle and like beat you to death, because I shouldn't say never, but I just remove myself from the situation. He's usually out in the sunroom. If I can tell he's getting a little cranky or a little worked up about something, I just leave and go into the other room. I can still see him. He's fine. And, don't engage with that behavior. How do I keep myself at peace? Of course, the Lord. I am with him every day. I know he's walking with me, and I feel completely at peace. This is all in God's hands. This is the road that he has chose for us to travel, and I trust him, and this is what we're doing. You have to remember that even when it doesn't feel like it, God is good all the time. Have you considered hiring a caregiver part-time so you can have a bit more freedom? No, I'm not going to hire someone when I'm already being paid to take care of someone. It's my job. I guess being a nurse, maybe I have a different mindset than other people. I don't know. It's my job to take care of Jason. 1 is his wife, and 2, that's my job. This question makes me sad. You rock FR. Leslie, does Jason see your sufferings still? No. I was going to try not to cry this whole video. You got me. I think, yes, he sees it sometimes. It's a matter of does he have that empathy to know how it affects me or care about me? I know he cares about me in there and stuff, but is it the same? No. There's nobody, loving on me and giving me attention as a woman or a wife. It just changes your whole relationship and makes it really sad. This is an interesting question, and we'll have to ask Jay, because I do think that no, he can't. It says, is Jason still able to focus on God and God's plan for his life, or have his cognitive issues made that difficult? In other words, is he still capable of being spiritually in tune with Christ? If you ask Jason, yes, he loves the Lord, and of course, he believes in Jesus dying on the cross, and he's been a believer and saved, but does he walk that daily walk with him anymore? No, Jason doesn't walk a daily walk with anyone. He doesn't have the cognitive ability to be in God's word. He can't sit there and read that type of stuff. He's overstimulated and overwhelmed going to church, so I attend church from home, and watch online. But you know what? I know the Lord understands that. And I know that the Lord has him in his hands. And so, yes, I wish that I still had my spiritual partner with me to talk about the Lord. And I still share things, I'll be doing a Bible study and I'll tell Jason, oh my goodness, I just learned this, and, share with him. to continually to remind him. Of course, we say a blessing before we eat. I try, but my spiritual leader in the home is no more. Now I got all sad. So I'm going to step away for a moment and then see if I can get Jason to answer some questions with us, because that was a lot of questions.
Am I recording?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. What are you most looking forward to doing this summer?
This summer, I would really like to do some traveling. Traveling up to visit my grandkids in Seattle is top of my list. Going fishing with my grandkids here, top of my list. And getting some yard work done here. What was the question?
What you answered it. What you were looking most forward to this summer?
Okay, yes, that's
Okay.
it. Mm-hmm.
Now I answered this, but I want to see what you say. Has Jason's appetite changed? Does he still enjoy the same foods since before dementia? Do you feel like your appetite has changed?
I don't think it has. I think I crave sweets more, maybe some ice cream on a excessive level.
That's exactly what I said. He craves sweets. You didn't used to have a sweet tooth, but you always want some ice cream now. Since you have cognitive issues, how do you feel that your walk with the Lord is now?
Even, same.
Do you feel like you're able to spend time with him?
Yep. And because I'm going crazy, he answers more frequently.
Jason.
All right.
Okay. It's another food question. People definitely associate you with food. They want to know, is food calming for you?
Yes.
That you used to love to cook, and you were really great at it. What do you think your challenges now are with cooking?
Following a recipe accurately. Well, okay. I now have to read the recipe every step of the way and the instructions, where I used to be able to just make things.
Right.
Like I could make a bordelaise sauce with no effort, and now I've got to be like, what am I doing? How long have I got to do it? A lot more focus required.
Yes.
And a lot of reminders.
Yes. Like I'll go through and help you with like making sure you're staying on track sometimes, because sometimes I think you even get lost on what step you're on.
Yes.
Yes.
I was making beef jerky last week, which came out muy bueno. Shout out to two guys in the cooler for their recipe. But like it's literally in the smoker, and Leslie had to come out several times. Don't forget you got beef jerky. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that was probably at least 5 times. Hey, but you remembered now that I had to remind you. I love your memory. All right, a question for Jason. How did we meet?
Well, I like to take it back. You know, we're from Kansas City, which is right on the border of Missouri, and I was kind of a miscreant, and I had a real good friend named Huck Finn.
Okay, Jason Michael, tell the real story.
Oh.
We're not Huck Finn and Becky Thatcher.
She chased me around after I conned everybody into whitewashing my fence.
Okay.
Actually, my best friend was a kid named Kyle Gearhart, and we went to church together. We went to different schools, but we went to church together, became fast friends. And Leslie lived down the street from Kyle, and I would take my dirt bike over to his neighborhood and hang out and ride with him. And then one day at the Apple Fest, a goat got away, and we were trying to catch the goat. And we caught the goat, and then next thing you know, Leslie's cornering me and like, please take me to the Wednesday night youth group Pizza Hut social. And I finally was like, fine, whatever, let's go. And the rest is history. And every piece of that is true, with a little minor exaggeration. I'll let you guys figure out which one's the exaggeration.
Like, Jason Michael. Okay. Anyway, what would you say is your favorite thing to do right now?
Oh, yard work and planning yard work. Yeah.
I would say so.
And I really can't say I enjoy it, but doing everything 3 times because I can't get it right the first 2, that's frustrating. But yeah.
Okay. Does Jason still show time?
Absolutely. Up to and including right now.
I was going to say, yeah. Hold on, there's a ton. Do you believe that there will come a time when you don't remember Leslie?
I don't think so.
You haven't lost your long-term memory.
No, I can.
And we don't know if it's going to affect that portion of your brain. Mm-hmm. But you're still doing really great with your long-term memory and knowing who everybody is.
Yes.
From the past. Now,
From the
he
past.
met you a couple weeks ago, and he's probably not going to know you. So many sweet things wanting you to know, Jason, you have touched so many of us, and you're always in their prayers.
Thank you.
Out in public, this lady always feels like a pushy, bossy wife. And I know my husband doesn't look like he's challenged. He even speaks well. So I can totally relate to this. And I never know when he's going to say something inappropriate. I can relate to this. What do I say to the person who he said this to? Excuse me, he has dementia? Let me ask you, because I do myself feel bossy. But then I've learned my lesson, and you even tease me about don't trust you because that's come back to bite me. Mm-hmm. Is it more comforting to you if I have to tell someone you have dementia, or just let them think you're being strange?
I think because you talked about like getting some cards to just hand to people, and I think that would be because I'd rather someone not think I'm strange and just understand I have a problem. Mm-hmm. Not to say I didn't used to have a problem and I haven't always been strange, but you have to give me the tap quite frequently.
When you're eating in public.
Yep.
Jason, I'm not throwing you under the bus, but you eat a little bit like a caveman.
I used to be very eloquent.
Oh, fancy restaurants, ate very proper. These are the questions that we all want to know. Like, what's going on in your brain? Why do you eat like this?
Because I'm not paying attention and I'm just doing.
It's just a matter of living, getting the food into your mouth.
Yes.
Yeah. Because you do turn into a caveman. You hunch over and you just start shoveling it in.
My personal favorite restaurant story is I was at my reserve unit and hanging out by myself. I went to dinner at this nice little restaurant, and like I don't even drink, but like my dinner was like $120, and the colonel's secretary, so the colonel has to sign off on my expenses, and it was just per diem, but that was on my government card. He's like, you can't be taking people to dinner on your card. And I was like, I didn't take anybody to dinner. He's like, your bill was $120. And I was like, uh-huh. She's like, you spent $120 on your own dinner? I was like, yeah.
You're Mr. Fancy Pants
like,
with the rabbit.
Yeah, I had rabbit that night. Yep. I was like, you have no idea what kind of damage I can do on a dinner. I was like,
yeah. Oh my goodness. What do you miss being able to do the most?
Drive.
Tell us a little bit about that.
My depth perception is terrible. My judgment is off. I don't remember how long ago this was, but I needed to follow you to drop your car off. And when we got there, I was like, I probably shouldn't be driving anymore because I was struggling. I feel like I would be able to ride a dirt bike or something off-road where there's not a risk of hitting someone else. So, or I don't know, I've never been really big on street bikes, but I don't know if a motorcycle.
Oh my gosh, Jason Michael, you could never pay attention to.
All right,
There's too much.
Maybe we'll just go back to dirt bikes.
Maybe we'll just not drive anything.
Let's go back to dirt bikes.
I think you're going back to dirt bikes because that's from the past.
I grew up racing dirt bikes and riding, and
So yeah.
maybe we'll get a boat.
No.
Or
we won't
jet
get a
ski?
boat. No. So Jason's doing something right now that you do when you don't know, or it's something.
Have you got a mic on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You'll revert to the past, and you'll always go there. And so, and I don't know if that's a comfort to you, thinking about how you used to ride dirt bikes and that kind of thing. Is it?
Yeah, and how much fun it used to be, and
Kind of dream of the good old days. Yeah.
yeah, not motocross anymore because I don't think my back could take it, but just
Oh my goodness.
just some trail riding.
Some light trail riding. Okay, so a lot of people ask me, do I feel alone in this journey? And I kind of already talked to everybody about that.
I would say yes.
Oh, well, you don't have to answer for me, but yes, I do feel very alone in this journey. But do you feel alone in this journey?
Nope.
No?
So the difference is I'm floating along in my own little world, and I can't be with too many people. It's kind of like being in public. I just start spooling up, and it's very obviously to Leslie, okay, it's time to leave the store because,
Yeah, I got you figured out. We did discuss, because people talked and asked about you and violence and your tendencies towards feeling anger and aggression now. Because you've never really been that kind of person. Can you see yourself wanting to be violent, or is it just something that happens and you don't even have any idea?
well, I don't have any idea, but I've recognized that I'm doing it, especially when someone is in traffic.
Yes, that's another reason you can't drive. Mr. Road Rage Anger Management now. What are some of the crazy things that you have tried to buy, and did they cost a lot? Oh, David, David Head 83. We don't even want to talk about the aircraft loader and all the crazy things.
Because who doesn't want to be able to load a 747?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you do differently now that you have experienced this journey? I kind of already talked about this.
If I could go back in time, I would not be standing where I was standing in Iraq.
There you go.
There you go.
That's a good one. Does disorientation ever lead to Jason's lashing out physically? No, not physically, but verbally.
Yes.
You get overwhelmed, frustrated, and you're just...
As recently as this last weekend, we went to Chinese with our daughter and her family, and I got frustrated and I was short with Leslie, and that's me putting it kindly, and I don't want to be that way, and it makes me feel even worse when my daughter sees it because she doesn't want to see her mom treated that way, and I can't help it. So in that, I could feel that I was already becoming anxious as the day had gone on, and I originally said I didn't want to go to dinner because I felt it coming on. I ended up going anyway, and it wasn't a big public outburst, but I was...
So, this is a question from me, because I brought up this example, and you obviously this stands out. It must be something in your memory.
Because it bothers me that I did it.
They say you have your explicit memories, and so this must be an explicit memory for you. But why does this moment of lashing out at me stand out to you? Because Kelsey saw it? Why not all the other ones on the daily?
I don't know an answer for
Do
that.
those not? So only because Kelsey saw it. So
You see me every day, and I don't want my kids to remember me by that.
See, and I talked about this. You're comfortable with me, and that's why I get the brunt of everything. Mm-hmm. So.
And I am disappointed in myself acting that way, but it hurts more when my kids see it and they're disappointed in me.
Yeah. Jason, do you ever have any delusions or hallucinations?
Yeah. Except for the fact that I feel like I'm 6'2". I've been delusional about that my whole life.
Yes. Oh yeah. I still think you're number one thing, and you can let me know if you disagree, but your auditory hallucinations are still your number one. Mm-hmm. You'll be like, do you hear that? And that kind of thing. And
yep.
Yeah. Are you still able to problem solve and follow directions? No, not very. The problem solving? No way. Mm-mm. No way. Okay. Up until just recently, I would say no, but you are doing better because of the medication you switched to. Can you follow movie plots?
Yes. And the medication changes help me able to be less anxious and watch a movie.
Right. That's why I said up until recently, you haven't even been able to watch a movie. You couldn't even focus on that. Mm-hmm. So that's good. Oh, well, we just kind of answered this one. Leslie, does Jason realize that you're not as nice at times? And do you realize that you're not as nice at times? Yeah. Okay.
Can I help it or stop it? No. Okay.
Couple more. You doing okay?
Yes.
Okay. This person's mother thinks that she's fine, and her dad and her are the crazy ones. I know you don't ever really think that I'm crazy, but you definitely think you're fine a lot of times.
Yes.
Yes.
Referencing back to, why can't I just drive to the store?
But then you remember how you are. It's so weird with you. Mm-hmm. And then you'll be like, oh, I'm not fine. Are you still finding moments of joy in your life?
Yes.
Yes?
Mm-hmm. When I'm able to accomplish something, I feel a significant sense of accomplishment. And mm-hmm. I was able to finally change the battery in my truck. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to tell you how many times it took and how much my neighbor had to help me. Mm-hmm. But when it was done, I felt a very significant sense of accomplishment.
And I think it's good for you to feel that.
Whereas in the past, I could rebuild an engine with no manuals.
Yes.
In a few hours.
Yes.
And it took me 2 weeks to change the battery. With help.
This lady, she takes care of her husband and she feels lonely. Mm-hmm. And the thing that she finds the hardest is that my husband was the one person I went to when I had a problem or needed some help. Mm-hmm. I still come out to you and I'm like, tell you all kinds of crazy stuff going on in my life with work and sponsorships and Instagram reels I'm making and everything. Mm-hmm. I think if I didn't, I'd go crazy because I would never have anyone to talk to.
The only advice I can offer to anyone is it's best if you reference a conversation with, this is between us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Jason lost his filter in all situations and doesn't realize like those private conversations you have with your husband and wife, that we don't share those conversations with other people. So it's made... Unfortunately, some of the things that I tell you, I just either don't get to tell you anymore. Because even sometimes if I remind you, I'm afraid that you won't remember the reminder.
Not too long ago.
We don't need to tell the story.
Okay.
Jason, oh my goodness. I think this will be a good time to wrap this up.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much for answering questions.
Thanks everybody for sending in the questions. We appreciate it, and I hope you guys got something good out of this video.
Okay.